It's nice and cool out here. Think cool thoughts. Welcome to Lake Technical College's Institute of Public Safety, or as we know it, IPS. I'm Richard Keith. I'm the fire chief for the city of Tavares, and I am your master of the ceremony for this morning's event. This morning we are combining three big events. Yeah, y'all come on in under the tent. There's still seats left. We're combining three big events into one huge event. First, we are honoring Ken Bragg. I'm pretty sure we'll get to applaud for him a few more times this morning. So, he's a pioneer in technical education in Florida and Lake County, and he's the father, arguably, of Lake Technical College. And so we are honoring him as Lake County today renames Lane Park Cutoff Road in his honor. Our second event is the unveiling of a plaque that has been commissioned to honor Ken Bragg's service to Lake County, Lake Technical College, and the Institute of Public Safety. And third, we are breaking ground on the next big construction phase for Lake Technical College as we prepare to expand the Institute of Public Safety with a new building. That new building, located on this site just behind me, just in front of you, will be the new home for Lake Tech's entire emergency medical services program, which is currently, and has been for decades, located at the main campus on Kirk Street in Eustis. As we begin, the honor guard of the Lake County Sheriff's Office, representing our sheriff, Peyton Grinnell, will present the callers. Joining the honor guard, we have with us current students attending technical instruction programs here at the Institute of Public Safety. We have students from the law enforcement program and students from the firefighter emergency medical technician combination class. Lake Tech students are joining us now. As soon as we get them in place, we will turn this over to our Lake County Sheriff's Office honor guard. Welcome, students. Thank you for joining us here today. I believe as soon as, yes indeed, that's for you students. And I believe one of our students, as we present the callers, is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Is that right? Could that student,
sir.
Right, you are right. Thank you. Right. Stay right there. Honor guard, the ceremony is yours.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right face. Forward. March.
Okay, so you're wondering, why is a fire guy from Tavares up here talking to us? And as I look around this tent at this tremendous group of bright, articulate, successful, and good-looking people, I'm wondering the same thing myself. So why am I here? I am way out of my league. In my defense, I have one attribute to offer to today's event: my deep love for Lake Technical College. So let me just expand on that just a little bit. I am blessed to have some profound loves in my life. My love for faith, family, friends leads the list. I love the state where I was born and raised, Indiana, and my family moved to Florida in 1971, and I quickly fell in love with Florida. And I still love Florida to this day. This is home. And of course, like all of you, we all love the United States of America. I love the United States Air Force. They taught me how to be a firefighter and got me into this profession. And I love my profession. I love Lake County. Getting out of the Air Force in 1980, the first job I found was working for the old South Lake Ambulance Service in Claremont and volunteering for Mineola Volunteer Fire Department. And during that time, I fell in love with Lake County. And my affection for Lake County has never diminished. I love Tavares. Tavares hired me in 2006, and Tavares is where I live. I didn't know much about Tavares before that, but once my family settled in Tavares, though, we fell head over heels in love with this great little city. And there's one more great love in my life, and that is Lake Technical College. My love affair with Lake Tech started in 1982 when I enrolled in the third paramedic program that was ever held at Lake Tech. Back then, the school was called Lake County Area Vocational Technical Center. I graduated from that program in 1983, which makes me a Lake Tech alum, and I still wear that paramedic patch today. Later in life, 4 of my 5 children attended programs at Lake Tech, and all found meaningful employment immediately in their chosen fields of training. In fact, my oldest son, Richie, attended firefighter minimum standards training right here, graduated, and worked a career for Claremont Fire Department. In 2010, I replaced then Lake County Fire Chief John Jolliffe on the Charter Board of Directors for Lake Tech. And in 2018, I was elected by the board to chair the board. And I'm proud to say that as of today, I'm still the chair. They haven't kicked me off yet. What's wrong with you all? So you got to believe me when I tell you, I love Lake Tech. If you cut me, I bleed red and black. Today, Lake Technical College is a charter school operating in close partnership with the Lake County School Board and Lake County Schools Superintendent Diane Cornegay. Lake Tech also proudly operates in close partnership with Lake Sumter State College, and Lake Technical College is proud to be an integral part of that amazing and progressive world of education in Lake County. The Charter Board of Directors for Lake Technical College consists of 8 individuals representing various industries and professions. Our board members are dedicated to helping bring premier technical training and education to Lake County and Central Florida. Additionally, we partner with our Lake Tech executive and administrative staff and professional instructors to keep our school on the cutting edge of excellence in student success. My fellow members on the Charter Board of Directors are here with us today. Board members, when I call your name, please stand and remain standing as we recognize you and your contribution to Lake Tech. And audience, please hold your applause till I get all of them standing so that we can recognize them all at the same time. Now, I don't know if they're all here, but I'm going to call the names just in case. Our vice chair is Mr. C.A. Vosberg. Dr. Isaac Dees, pretty sure Dr. Dees is not here. He's busy with other work. Mr. Jerry Cobb, they're over here. Mrs. Bonnie Onofre. Mr. Mickey Galden. Mr. Tim Morris. And representing the Law Enforcement and Corrections Academy, Police Chief Charles Broadway of the City of Claremont Police Department. He's hiding back there. So, Chief, thank you for being here. Board members, ladies and gentlemen, your board members for Lake Technical College. Now I have the honor of representing fire and emergency medical services on the board. In that capacity, I'm thrilled to be here today as we break ground in this next phase of growth at the Institute of Public Safety. Mr. Ken Bragg, where you at? There he is, right here, Mr. Bragg. As you sit here today, looking back to the early days when you founded Lake Tech, and then later, as you spearheaded the founding, the funding, and the construction of this amazing facility, the Institute of Public Safety, I invite you to think about the profound difference your life and your work made on my family, the Keith family. Now, multiply that by the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of families who have been impacted for good by the work of your hands, your head, and your heart. You do that, and you will know instantly why all of these people are here today to honor you. Amen. Lake Tech has had 8 executive directors since its founding. For our executive directors who are here today, as I call your name, please stand and remain standing as we recognize your contribution to the workforce in Lake County and to Lake Technical College. Audience, again, please hold your applause for them until we get them all stood up here. So, Mr. Ken Bragg was our very first executive director. Then we had Mr. Thomas Winters, Mrs. Helen Maxine Feltz, Mr. Stephen Hand, Dr. Susan Moxley, Mr. Terry Miller, and Dr. Diane Culpepper. And now, our current Executive Director, Deanna Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Directors for Lake Technical College. What an amazing group of talented educational leaders our Executive Directors have been. They all stand on your shoulders, Mr. Bragg, and they do so proudly. Our Executive Directors continue to bring great work to Lake Technical College, and they honor you by keeping alive the great work you started. As the Fire Chief of the City of Tavares and as the Chair of the Charter Board of Directors for Lake Technical College, I sincerely thank each one of you for being here today, honoring Mr. Ken Bragg and honoring Lake Technical College. At the conclusion of our event out here, please do not rush off. Lake Tech is hosting a reception in Mr. Bragg's honor. We will be moving into room 302 for fellowship, light refreshments, and hopefully air conditioning. Room 302 is right over there. It's not on the third floor, as you would think, but it's in building 3. So look for room 302. To get us started, before I do that, we should probably release these students out of the sun, you think? Okay, so let's give the students a big round of applause.
Class, right, face. Forward.
Thank you, students, for joining us today.
Right, left.
To get us started with our speakers, it is my honor to present to you and invite to the podium our current Executive Director for Lake Technical College, Deanna Thomas. Director Thomas.
Well, good morning, everyone. What another exciting day for Lake County and for Lake Technical College. I appreciate all of you coming out to support the college and also to recognize the remarkable Ken Bragg. Thank you all for joining us today for the Institute of Public Safety groundbreaking and Ken Bragg Way dedication ceremony. Each of you here has a special connection to Lake Technical College, whether through your partnership, support, or because you are connected to Ken Bragg. While I would love nothing more than to acknowledge each of you personally, I no doubt unintentionally would leave someone out. I do, however, want to extend a heartfelt thank you to some of those specifically responsible for making this project a reality. First, to Senator Baxley, Representative Truenow, and Representative Yurkowski for your unwavering support of Lake Technical College and our workforce training programs. Your leadership and relentless advocacy in Tallahassee have made this campus expansion possible. Our Lake County delegation truly embodies a dream team, and their dedication never goes unnoticed. On behalf of the Lake Tech Board, administration, faculty, and our students, we extend our deepest gratitude to all of you and for making this project possible. I also want to express our appreciation to the Lake County Board of County Commissioners, the county manager, and all of the Lake County teams. Your partnership and support have been instrumental in developing critical workforce pipelines and strengthening our local economy, and I say thank you. To the Lake County School Board, Superintendent Cornegie, and your teams, thank you for your collaboration and your charter sponsorship. Together, we are creating high-wage, high-skill career opportunities for our youth and leading the way as Florida's only charter career technical college. And to all of our partners present today, elected officials, including U.S. Congressman Webster, leaders from Lake Sumter State College, Career Source Central Florida, the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and representatives from Eustis, Tavares, Leesburg, and other cities in our great county. I want to extend a special thank you. Your commitment continues to make Lake County exceptional. We truly live in the best county in the best state in the USA. As Chief Keith mentioned earlier, today is more than a groundbreaking ceremony. It is a celebration of Ken Bragg's profound impact on career and technical education in Lake County. Many of you know my personal journey as a dual-enrolled high school student at what was then the Lake County Area Vocational Technical Center. Without Ken Bragg's pioneering efforts, I and thousands of other students would not have had the opportunity to transform our lives and acquire the skills needed for success.
Amen.
Ken's dedication to ensuring every student has the chance to succeed and elevating workforce education is truly inspiring. I am honored to contribute to the Lake Tech legacy as both a former student and the 8th director of, as we like to say, the best technical college in the universe. Ken established a legacy in the 1960s on Kurt Street in the city of Eustis and expanded it in the 1990s to Tavares with the Kenneth Bragg Public Safety Complex. I am privileged to lead this organization as we expand nearly 10,000 square feet on the very campus that Ken Bragg helped build. As I close, I want to share a light moment with you. Ken often tells me, "Keep up the great work, young lady, and you just might be the second best director Lake Tech has ever had." Well, Mr. Bragg, as Chief Keith noted, I proudly stand on your shoulders, as did the 6 directors before me, and I hope to continue making you proud as a Lake Tech graduate. Thank you all for being part of this special day. It is now my pleasure to turn the podium over to another legend, Representative Keith Trunow.
Well, I don't know about legends, but I think that this is a historic moment in what we're doing in Lake County. I think that we're moving forward, bringing more leadership to Lake County and doing things that are common sense, and it's where you guys want your tax dollars going, so that these students that you saw before you will find a path to their next career and on to the future. I mean, building these relationships and building these young men and women into what they are is what we're meant to do. So, you know, the legislature and Senator Baxley not here today, but and I don't know, is Representative Yarkowski? Yeah. I mean, we all sing from the same sheet of music, and we all work on things that are going to benefit our community here in Lake County, and we're going to continue that moving forward, because these are the things that we need to get done. You know, how many students can we get through this complex a year, and how we can make a difference. So I'm happy to be part of this legislation team, and I'm happy to continue what we're doing. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Trunow. Now, calling to the podium, our Lake County School Superintendent, Diane Cornegie.
Good morning. It is a great morning. And I am incredibly honored to be able to just take a few minutes, first of all, to say thank you to Ken Bragg, and to tell you a really quick story about why today is so special for me, the Lake County School Board, and for so many. So I started in January 2017, and I had a very unique opportunity, thanks to the board, to be able to have a transition period. And my mission was to get out into the community and do what I call my listen and learn tour. It was my second week on the job, and one of the first groups I had met with was the Leesburg Chamber. So I showed up, yeah, go Leesburg, and there was probably 200 people, maybe closer to 300 people in this room. And yeah, I was blown away by the support and just the turnout of this group. So I did my typical, this is who I am, and I'm happy to be here, and I said, now I want to hear from you. And that was kind of a difficult task, knowing that there was 200 people in the room. But without pause, as soon as I said, I want to hear from you. What do you need from me as your superintendent? What can I do for your community and for your schools? And this man popped up really quick. And he said, my name is Ken Bragg, and I need you to bring back the Construction Academy at Leesburg High School. And I said, okay. Wasn't real sure, week 2, what that meant. But it started something in that room, because everyone that followed stood up and said what he said. And I said, okay. So I left there clearly knowing what my mission was. Not sure how I was going to achieve it. I got in the car and I called Bill Mathias, because he wanted to know, well, how did it go? So first question, how'd it go? And I said, it went really well. I said, but there was this man there. He stood up. His name was Ken Bragg. Who is that Ken Bragg? So he told me all about Ken. And I said, well, I clearly know what my task is, and I left there and went around to the high school, and I went into the construction academy, not having been there week 2, and I found 35 children enrolled in a program sitting at computers, and I began talking to the students. Why are you enrolled in this program? Well, it was the only thing that was available in my schedule, and there just really wasn't a lot happening there for kids. And it saddened me because it was an incredible facility, and I could tell that back in the day, it really had a very strong purpose. And so throughout the next week, this man, that Ken Bragg, kept showing up. And he kept saying, okay, now I need you to talk to this person and that person. And you connected me at the time, I don't know if you remember, with Don Magruder at Romac. And Don got me in front of the Builders and Contractors Association. So I showed up in that room. There was another 100-something people there, and that Ken Bragg was there again. And I told them we didn't have the money to do that. I knew week 2 I didn't have the money to do it, but I was going to need some support. So that man Ken Bragg took me to meet Dennis Baxley. He took me to all these folks. And at the end of the day, I'm going to try to make this story short because he promised me that, or I promised him I'd be under 3 minutes. I needed help to go to our Florida legislature to advocate for funding for this. And that man, Ken Bragg, was my strongest advocate, because when I showed up in Tallahassee, that man, Ken Bragg, was there. And so were many others in this community. We had about 65 letters of support from our builders and contractors, and Dennis Baxley, he carried the torch for this for us. And at the end of the day, that legislative session, we had about $900,000 to bring back to Lake County for that construction academy. We had a list, we purchased a lot of new equipment, and that man, Ken Bragg, helped us find an incredible instructor for those kids. So I want to just fast forward for a second, because today, there are almost 300 children enrolled in the Construction Academy at Leesburg High School alone. It has state-of-the-art technology, and amazing things are happening for our students there. But it didn't stop there, because we went back to the next year with another appropriation, and that man, Ken Bragg, was there again with another $250,000 for South Lake Construction Academy. So today we have 3 thriving construction academies in our high schools, and from that, a lot of growth in fields such as AC and others that have expanded into other high schools, offering high wage and high demand job opportunities for our students. And all along the way, it was that man, Ken Bragg. But I want you to know that you are no longer, for me, and nor were you then, that man, because you became the man. And I want to thank you for everything you've done, for the thousands of children that you have touched and the lives you have changed. You have no idea the legacy and the legend that you have created. And I want to thank you, and I want you to know that as I turn on this street, and I think that for the years to come, as people turn on Ken Bragg Way, people may look up at that sign and they say, who was that man, Ken Bragg? And people will say, he was the man.
Thank you, Superintendent. Now, representing the Lake County School Board, our Chair, Molly Cunningham.
Good morning. Good morning. This is a particular personal high for me today to be able to speak about Mr. Bragg. I have honored, respected, and admired this man from afar for over 40 years. I had the pleasure of being the principal of Eustis Heights Elementary right across the street from Mr. Bragg for over 10 years. This is a man who is always available to lend a helping hand, a listening ear, a little bit of advice, confidence, preparation. And Mr. Bragg, I just want to personally tell you that I haven't forgotten all the times that you provided those things for me. And like the superintendent, I want to share a quick story. When I first ran for the school board, I was standing in front of the library. I don't know if he remembers this. I was standing in front of the library in Leesburg, and I had my sign, and you know how it is when you first run for that first political office, you're not quite sure what's going on. But all of a sudden, a familiar face showed up. He was driving down the street. He stopped his car, and he backed up. and he said, "Molly Cunningham, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm running for school board." He said, "Really? Well, come over here, let me talk to you." So I went over to his car, and he, as always, gave me some very good advice. For that day, Mr. Bragg, and for all the other days over the last 40 years, I want you to know that I sincerely, as a person, appreciate you. I think the citizens of Lake County are far better for you having been here, and you are one of those people that makes our district and our county extra special. We love you, we appreciate you, and there is no one more deserving of this honor than you.
Thank you, Chairman Cunningham. Staying with the school board, our Vice Chair, Tyler Brandenburg.
Good morning. I typically don't like notes, but I've got them anyway just in case. There's a lot I want to say today in a brief amount of time, and make sure I hit it all. Ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute honor and privilege it is for me to be here with you guys today. I've known Ken and Miss Sue since I was probably 5 years old. Grew up off Pixiola Road, right down the road from the Bragg property. And from the time I was about 10 or so middle school, high school, all the way through, anytime I saw Ken, he's like, "Tyler, you want a job? You can clean the weeds and the debris off my fence line along the property." Needless to say, I never took him up on that offer. But what a message it was for Ken to do that for me at a young age, and what he's done for so many others. He's providing opportunities, he's providing access to better yourself, and really just improve your work ethic and what you're doing. Really always appreciated that about Ken, and just really appreciate that today. Folks, today's not just about a sign. It's about a long overdue legacy that will outlive us all, honoring Ken and his tireless dedication to Lake Technical College and workforce development throughout Lake County. It symbolizes the past that Ken has paid for countless students and the bright futures he's helped to create. Ken didn't just grow Lake Technical College. He nurtured it like a gardener tending to a garden. He saw potential where others saw weeds, turning challenges into opportunities, and his commitment to education was unwavering and remains unwavering today. We still get together for breakfast every few months to discuss various initiatives in the school system and the ways we can make the programs better. His passion and drive hasn't skipped a beat, and I am so incredibly thankful for the time that we still get to spend together. Ken's impact on workforce development has been nothing short of monumental. He believed that education isn't just about books, it's about opening doors. Thanks to his vision, many people in our community now have access to skills that empower them to chase their dreams, whether that means a fulfilling job, a new career path, or simply the confidence to believe that they can achieve more. So as we unveil this new name, Ken Bragg Way, let it remind us of the road that Ken has paved for us all, a road filled with opportunity, laughter, and unwavering support for those who seek to better themselves. Ken, thank you for your years of service, your honor, and your heart. May this road always lead to a future fulfilled with possibility, just like the one you've created for us all. Thank you, I love you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Brandenburg. So, on behalf of all of us, to our Lake County School Board, thank you for the great work that you do. You are unsung heroes. You take it on the chin a lot, but you keep coming back. So thank you for what you do, and please carry that thanks to the rest of the board at your next meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, our Lake County School Board. Yeah. Now we're going to switch over to the County Commission, and it's my honor to invite up here a longtime member of our Lake County Commission, Leslie Campione.
I should have written my remarks down because this is kind of emotional, to say the least. But we've talked a lot about Ken as the educator, and I like to think of Ken as a mentor and as a humanitarian. One of the first times that I met Ken, I had decided to run for county commission, and very similar to the stories that you've heard, he kind of took me under his wing, and he decided he needed to show me some things that were very important that I needed to be aware of. He took me over to First Baptist. We met with folks that were there that were helping families that were in need, helping them get back, their feet back on the ground, helping train them with skill sets so they could go out and have productive life. And I thought that was so monumental that that was one of the first things that Ken wanted to show me, the great things that were being done there to help people that were struggling, that really wanted to have a better life. They just needed someone to give them an opportunity and a second chance. There's so many things I could tell you about Ken. One of the neat stories I remember is when first being elected to the County Commission, economic development was #1 priority. We were in tough economic times across the country, and in Lake County it was really bad. And we were trying to find ways to diversify our economy. So one of the things that we began to really focus on was manufacturing. And I quickly learned that our best partner in Lake County was Lake Tech. And we went after dollars to start an advanced manufacturing center. And so we were working really hard, and I have to give kudos to Alan Hayes because he was in the Senate at the time, and he was a big proponent of that project. But very similar to Diane's story, every turn of the way as we were trying to secure that funding to make this happen, because we had so much going on in Lake County manufacturing-wise, but we had very little opportunity for training and growing what we had. We had all of these great niche manufacturers all over Lake County, but they didn't know about each other. They didn't understand the ways that they could be working together. And so this was a really big deal to get this money and start this manufacturing center at Lake Tech on Kurt Street. And so as we went trying to find funding, there was Ken. Ken was there advocating. He invited, we met, I believe, over in your conference room, and there was this beautiful rendering of Lake Tech College. It was Votech at the time, but it was the very first rendering, and he was right there at the time when that rendering was designed and those decisions were made to break ground and build that school. I just think it's so fabulous that we're here today for a groundbreaking, and that the Public Safety Center is being enlarged and expanded, and that this is the same time that we're able to recognize Ken for all of the great work that he has done through the years. I don't know if you all know this, but Ken came to Lake County in 1965. He was hired to be a teacher at Lake Sumter. And it was 1967 when he became the founding director at Lake, it was Votech at the time. Through the years, Sue even worked at the college, at the center. And I thought that was really wonderful that they were both partners working together in education. But we all know in economic development there is no such thing as job creation without the education component, without the training component. You can have all the great ideas in the world, try to bring companies to Lake County. You can't get them to come here unless you have a strong education system, and career and vocational training is such a critical part of that. And I just am so happy about and grateful for the partnership that we have with Lake School District, with Lake Tech, with Lake Sumter College. It really is a wonderful partnership that we have happening here in Lake County, and this is a testament with our legislators that understand our priorities, and they go to bat for us, and they help bring those dollars back to Lake County. So this is a great day to celebrate partnerships. It's a great day to celebrate Mr. Bragg and his family and all that they have meant to this community. And I just hope that with the sign being there, that for years to come, people that don't know who Ken is, they will research it, they'll find out, and they'll realize that he is a cornerstone. He is such a critical, integral part of the success of our county. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and we love you and appreciate you.
Thank you, Commissioner Campione. And before I bring up our next speaker, let me just say thank you to our County Commission members. Mr. Chairman, would you please take our thanks back to the board at your next meeting? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, our County Commission. Now I'm going to invite somebody up here. Get comfortable. All right. Get in the shade if you're in the sun. All right. He is a true native son of Lake County, a true native son of Tavares. I envy that about him. Mr. Kirby Smith, our current chair for the Lake County Commission.
Good morning. Good morning. It is an absolute honor to be here today. I do have notes. I'm going to read these notes, but first I want to express my gratitude for Mr. Bragg. Like most people, Mr. Bragg was an inspiration for me. He may not realize what he did for me, I first met him at the Christian Coalition Center in Leesburg, Florida. And his passion for people was overwhelming to me. So thank you. I would like to say good morning. It's an honor for me to be here with you today as we mark not one, but 3 significant milestones for our community. I'd like to acknowledge Lake Technical College leadership and staff, and our dedicated local officials, and many public safety professionals and attendees here today to celebrate the expansion as well as the legacy of Mr. Ken Bragg Way. Many of you may not know this, but I am too a graduate of Lake Technical College. Well, actually, it was Lake Tech back then in the day when I was going through firefighter standards. They taught me a lot, so thank you for starting this. You don't know how many thousands and thousands of lives you have impacted. Lake Technical College has been instrumental in providing top-tier training throughout Lake County and prepares individuals for real-world challenges. I can tell you that firsthand. This new facility will continue that legacy, equipping the next generation of public safety professionals with the skills and knowledge they need to keep our communities safe. This expansion is more than just brick and mortar. It's an investment. It's an investment in our future. It's an investment in our kids. It's an investment in our future generations to come. Public safety professionals are the ones who we depend on in a time of need, which is why it is important that we provide the best training, the best resources, so they can perform at the highest level. We're investing in people and their abilities to respond to emergencies and to ensure the well-being of all of our citizens. As you know, our first responders do great things in the time of need, and I truly appreciate every one of them, from the firefighters to the EMS, and especially our police force. As we look to the future, we also reflect on the legacy of someone who has made an incredible impact in Lake County, and is why I am so happy to be standing here in front of you today. Mr. Bragg, with decades of service to Lake County, Mr. Bragg has shaped countless lives and has been instrumental in laying the foundation for what Lake Technical College represents today. And Ms. Deanna Thomas is continuing with great, great honor. He was a key figure in the creation of the public safety complex right here, a facility that has since trained many of our first responders who serve our community today. Mr. Bragg's impact extends far beyond these brick and mortar. He's been a fierce advocate for vocational education in both the state and national stages, working tirelessly, as you have heard, to secure funding and create opportunities for countless students. Through his leadership, he has paved the way for generations to thrive in a career that are vital to our economy and our society. Some of y'all may or may not know I'm a big advocate of Lake Technical School. I think technical training is essential for all of our students here in Lake County and in our nation. Mr. Bragg, it is my great pleasure to me and to the county commissioners to rename Lane Park Cutoff to Mr. Ken Bragg Way. This is in honor of your contribution and a reminder of the impact that one person can make through the dedication of service. So I would like for you to all turn your attention to the sign or to the board over here, and we'll do the unveiling. I wonder if he knows he has all these people looking at him.
No, it's live.
Yes.
On behalf of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners, I want to thank you, Mr. Bragg, and your family. We cannot forget about your family.
Yes, sir.
For the decades of service. And I'd also like to thank Lake Technical College for their ongoing partnership and commitment to excellence in the vocational education of our current and future residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. Well done, Lake County. Mr. Bragg, Tavares couldn't wait to get on board, so we didn't want to steal their thunder. But right across the street from us is our Tavares second fire station. You remember that? So in the countywide numbering system, that's Tavares Fire Station 29. So over Station 29, if you look at the monument sign, the street sign on your way out, it says Ken Bragg Way. We couldn't wait to get in there. So Tavares wanted to be the first one to make our official change. So thank you, Mr. Bragg. Thank you, Lake County, for doing this. Now, we're switching over to part number 2, and that is our plaque that's being dedicated today. So it's my pleasure to invite up here Mr. Jerry Cobb and Mr. Bill Mathias. Yeah. Oh, they're going that way. Okay, all right. So I guess we're going to build a plaque. So let come. Yeah. Okay, you got to say sorry.
Thanks, Bill.
15 minutes, Jerry. That's all you got. 15 minutes.
It's small and blank. I learned something today that I didn't know. Of course, I learned something at my age that I probably forgotten knew before. But anyway, somebody said today that Ken nurtured this school like a garden. And he had weeds in it, and he made them flowers. I'm one of those weeds. I'm not one of those flowers. He couldn't go that far and make me a flower. Little history, and I'll make it very short so we can go on with the program. I met Ken Bragg in 1967. We ran away to Chicago for a national convention of DECA. By the way, we came home, brought Florida some first, second, and third place winners. He asked me what I was going to do when I got out of high school. He said there was something on the horizon. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't built. I went in the Marine Corps and got a real education. I hit those floors in 1972, walking to my first class in agriculture diesel mechanics. Later on in my life, I was asked to come back and teach it. He must have saw something in me other than a weed. Okay? My boss at that time said, if you don't like teaching, give him the keys back at the end of the semester. I gave him the keys back 21 years later. My wife, who I met it's always going to be Votech, guys. I'm sorry. Okay?
It's always Votech.
My wife of over 30 years was a student there. No, she wasn't 16, and I didn't date her. Okay? I waited till she grew up. Both of my sons have gone to that. We are a tech family, and it's because of this man. I'm sorry. I get choked up because I'm old, okay? He's been a mentor. The biggest thing he is to me is a friend, and I thank you for that very much. You and God loves Sue for putting up with all his shenanigans for all that years. Thank you.
Very nice, beautiful plaque. Mr. Bragg, what a memorial. My goodness, wow. So if you're wondering where that plaque is going, it's going to stay right here. It's not leaving this property. We're not going to let it go. It's going to go on building 1, which is this building right here. If you walk up the breezeway between, look to your right on the front of this building, you will see a plaque that's already there from way back in the very beginning. I believe Mr. Bragg's name is on that one too. This plaque's going to go there with that one. So that will forever memorialize this building and connect it to Mr. Ken Bragg. So that's a beautiful plaque. Now we're going to switch over to the Bragg family. We'll let Mr. Bragg compose himself here for a minute, but we're calling to the podium Beth Bragg Hennon.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. You all have been so patient today in the heat, and I'm sure you all have your own vocations that you probably need to get back to. So like Henry VIII told his wives, I'm not going to keep you long. But we have learned a lot as a family today about my dad and things that he has accomplished, things that he has achieved, because the conversations in our house from my parents are not about themselves. The conversations in our house are about you all. They're about you, Sandy Moore, and the great job you're doing at the Chamber. They're about you, Pat Todd, and the amazing work you're going to do as athletic director. They're about you commissioners. I know so much about you and your background and your history. I know you grew up on Pixiola Road, and I'm not surprised you were asked to do chores. They're about the neighborhood boys, Pat McKeeby and Jimmy Culbreth, who are here today. You know, Pat worked his way through college, and his first job as a college student at Lake Sumter was given to him by my dad. He was a custodian at Votech. And now he's a big freaking deal with a wonderful insurance company, and Mom and Dad talk about that. They just saw his headquarters and ranch in Apopka and how proud they are. I have heard the Jerry Cobb story 1,000 times. His, as a high school student, winning that big prize, bringing that big prize back to Lake County. Bill, Matthias, your business savvy and how you have transitioned that to make the education system here in Lake County so much better. I know all about you. Oh my gosh, Madam Director, I know your story. So well, that's what I hear about at home. We don't hear about them and what they've achieved. Both Ken and Sue Bragg are such champions of others and of this community.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. And so we've heard a lot about what Dad has done today. I thought you might want to know maybe why he does it. And while I've never had this direct conversation with my dad, I don't need to because I know the answer. My dad grew up in a small factory town outside of Petersburg, Virginia. And his single mom worked in a cigarette factory and in a shirt factory. His cousin worked in a trunk factory. His sister, the day after high school graduation, walked into Allied Chemical Factory and walked out 35 years later. He had a brother that went into the military for a short while, and another brother who went to jail and didn't come out. The goal in my dad's neighborhood and in his family was to get on with the factory. That was all there was. There were no other opportunities. There was no thinking beyond that. And that's what my dad did when he graduated from high school. He went to work at DuPont in Richmond, started his shift work there. Now, he had a lot of work experience prior to that. His first job was at 7 delivering newspapers, and he's never stopped working since. He's 87, and he's not stopped yet. He's not done yet, by the way, you all. He's not done. But I did ask Dad, why did you have the vision to go to college when nobody around you did? And he said, I would carpool to Richmond with older men, and the conversation all the way to work and home from work among these older men who had done decades of factory shift work was about the weekend. Couldn't wait for the weekend, couldn't wait to get off of work. And they were miserable going in, and when they came out, they were dreading the next day. And Dad said, I wanted more. I wanted something different. So he went to a mentor of his, who was his high school shop teacher, who came from Virginia the day they first dedicated this center. When it first opened, he was here and got to see the fruits of his mentorship of my dad. But he asked Dad, he said, have you ever thought about going to college? Which Daddy had not. And so he connected my dad with a small teacher's college in Western Kentucky and planted that seed, made a few phone calls. And just like I'm hearing today, when my parents know about something good, they bring others along. Amen. They bring all of us along. And so on Dad's last day at DuPont, at the shift change, he was going out. His across the street neighbor was walking in, and his across the street neighbor asked the question that was always asked at the factory, what are you doing this weekend? Well, Kenny Bragg said, well, I'm going to college. And his across the street neighbor said, really? Tell me about that. How much something like that cost? And Dad said, well, this one's going to cost about $25 a semester. And then, of course, you got to pay for food, and you got to find a place to live. And his across the street neighbor said, well, where is a college? Where is one? And Dad said, well, this one's about 10 hours away, Western Kentucky University. Would you like to go? The neighbor said, you know, I think I would. So this across the street neighbor and my dad packed up in Dad's car that he had bought with the money he had been saving from doing everything from the paper delivery to who knows what. And off they went to Kentucky. The first in their families to ever go to college, likely the first in the neighborhood to ever go to college. And by the way, on their first day at school, they had been to town exploring, and they were walking up the steep hill back to the university campus and decided to hitchhike with a car full of girls. One of whom is now my mom. So they met on the first day of school, and together they have a combined 66 years of serving Lake County education. My mom is an elementary teacher, and then she taught adults at the vocational center and was teacher of the year, and should have been that every year. She's got students here today. Where's Michael Allen, my wonderful friend Michael Allen? He's now an author and the head of a nonprofit. So the source of Dad's passion, I think you can see, is coming from a neighborhood and a family where there were no options. There were no opportunities. There was no vision. He wanted to provide a way for people to have noble professions, provide for their families, reach higher, go further, make a difference. And you know how old he was when he was dispatched from the state of Florida to come to Lake County and find a town, find a site, talk to businesses, build a curriculum, build a coalition, build a board, and launch this thing? Where's the fire chief? The station 29? My dad was 29. So that is perfect when he came to Lake County. My sister was 4 and I was 2. And our experience with Votech was going with Dad on the weekends to watch the construction happen. There's pictures of us at the construction site of that original building. As the school moved along, we were there a lot of weekends because Dad was there working. He was doing everything from manual labor to paperwork to just walking the grounds and making sure all was good. And we would have so much fun going in the cosmetology room and spinning around in the chairs. I probably should not reveal that. We did not damage any public property. Going into the construction building where they were building whole houses under roof, or the mechanics program where there were half of cars and we could pretend like we were driving. It was just an incredible place. And you remember how shiny the floors were, Jerry Cobb?
Still are.
Yeah. how shiny they were. And we had no idea at that time the work that Dad was doing in economic development, that he was so supporting local businesses. He can still tell you the demographics of the workforce in Lake County today, and he can project into the future what it's going to be 10 and 20 years from now, and therefore what training needs to happen. Now just pull him aside, he'll be glad to talk to you about that. The only reason we knew the impact he was making nationwide is his trips to Washington to lobby for funding, not just for Lake County, but for vocational education nationwide. He was vocational ed before it was cool. And we see now how much more of that we needed and how much more we need now. And so thank the Lord, literally, that the work continues with all of you. What a privilege to meet some of you for the first time today. What a pleasure to see some of you who have become great family friends. The work continues through your hands. The work continues through my parents, who started after retirement. They started a career center and vocational retooling program at First Baptist Church because the recession had hit and people needed to retool and retrain to get jobs. And that carries on today. And my dad's phone rings continuously, and it's his privilege and pleasure to pour into this place. Finally, I'll say that it thrills my husband, Vicky's husband, and us, wherever we go in town, whether it's for Mom to get her hair fixed yesterday, whether it's a doctor's visit, whether it's a bank, we always meet people that once they learn who our parents are, they say, oh my gosh, they changed my life.
Amen.
The book of Proverbs in the Old Testament says a good name is to be desired more than great riches. And I think most of us here have benefited from the contributions that my parents have made that have earned them the good name that they have. And how cool is that? Now this street has a good name as well. Thank you all for what you've done today.
All right, so there's a line in the play Hamilton that says something like, talking about Hamilton, right? The man will not stop. Okay, so when I got here this morning, Ken Bragg met me in the parking lot, and he has been holding an aircraft airframe for us that he wants to donate to the Institute of Public Safety as a prop, a training prop. First thing out of his mouth is that I still got that aircraft for you because, you know, we know where Lake County is going with the aviation industry. And so he wants to donate an aircraft to the school that our first responders can use as a training prop out here. So again, the man will not stop. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ken Bragg.
Wow. My knees are weak. I think I better go sit back down. Who is that guy that everybody's talking about? Where is he? Whoa. First, I want to thank God.
Amen.
I want to thank God for life, for faith, for love, for our family, my wife, my three daughters, Vicky and Beth and Elaine, and for the privilege of working, living, and raising my family in Lake County, Florida.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord. I feel Jesus is with us here today.
Amen.
And as I want to thank each of you for being here, and would love to share a story or two with you about the magnitude and the significance of the seeds that have been planted in our technical college, our law enforcement training program, our safety center, and the expansion now that's going on in Claremont. And all of those that have taken a part to make this together. Dr. Culpepper with the slogan, Career in a Year on it. And we mean that. That's business. Career in a year. You're ready to go to work. You come out certified and can compete with anyone. Our one-year graduates are starting at salaries beyond, well, I don't like to say this, but beyond our beginning teachers after 4 years of college. But I like it from the standpoint of the technical training, the technical programs. Let me thank the two gentlemen, Bill Mathias and Jerry Cobb, that have worked so hard to see this happen and to bring it about. Judge, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the way, my name used to be out there, and it was out there because 30 years ago, General Timothy Sullivan was chairman of the Lake County School Board, and the police and fire chiefs petitioned the school board to name this institution, put my name on it, and my wife agreed with them because I'd spent so much time away from home. She was having to raise the children and run the house because I was out lobbying and seeking funds. And then when we got the first phase money, I had to go back for second phase because I couldn't get all the money at one time. And so then Ray Newman became the on-site director, and he supervised the construction of all these buildings, kept up with the architects and the contractors, and ran the training programs. And on the side became the interim police chief in Tiberias while he was doing all of this to help them find another police chief at the appropriate time. To the school board, Bill, and Molly, and Tyler, and, Mark, and Stephanie, thank you. To Diane and the school administration. And I've had an earlier conversation with Diane this morning and her team. Technically, they own all of this property, and I think they lease it to the technical college board for $1 a year. I've talked to her about reducing that this morning. She didn't give me a direct answer, but she did say she'd take it under advisement. And I remember that day very well, Diane, in that chamber meeting, and she just opened the door. She said, "I'm new, I'm just here for listening. I want to hear from you. I don't have the answers. I'm listening. This is a listening session." And after she said that about 3 times, I popped up and said, "I have the answer." And the room got quiet and everything settled down. I said, "You need more vocational training. The demographics have changed." I think I said in the next 10 years there are going to be 30,000 new homes within 5 miles of this city. And we're doing nothing about training workers to build those homes. And boy, did she take the bait and run with it and accomplished what she pointed out. And she and Bill, I think, was the chairman of the school board at that time. It was so successful that 2 years later I went back and said, "You know, Sue and I were in Nashville for a national convention. So I found that there is a curriculum in aviation for a high school program. The book just being printed by McGraw-Hill. So I'd like to help you start aviation." 2 years later, we had aviation going, and I think it's in 4 schools now. And the one that started last year has 144 students the first year studying to be all phases of aviation. So thank you, school board members, and to our county commission that has always been so supportive. Leslie and Kirby and Josh and Doug and Sean, over all the years that you've been there when we needed a shot in the arm or a piece of ground, and you brought about the city of Eustis that actually donated our first campus. And once they donated the campus, the 40 acres over there, it was an old baseball field and a part of a landing strip there for small craft. It was outside the city limits at that time. Once they donated it, we had it appraised and got a nice appraised figure, and we took that figure to Tallahassee and said, would you match that? And they matched it, so we got grant money to start the buildings with that. During that year, Dr. Culpepper, that we were under construction, and Deanna knows this history, we had 3 programs the first year. Our program allocations were based on population in the county, not on workforce need. Lake County population, when we broke ground, was 39,700 people. Whole county, 39,000. Today it's, what, 10 times that, over 400,000, and headed for 5. Kirby says 5, headed for 6, I guess. The first year we opened that new complex, we moved from 3 programs to 8 programs. 40 years later, the year I retired, we were training in 31 different occupations programs, and today it's even more than that. And can you imagine the pride that I feel in seeing our graduates and our people as soon I do all over everywhere we go. Deanna being a cosmetology student there in 1992. Our sheriff being in the first graduating class here in 1993. Keith and graduating, and then his children, his son. And then in 1998, the first graduate to ever graduate from our cosmetology program, sitting here in the audience today.
Thanks to you.
Velma Dawson. And that young lady, when she was about 20 years old, stormed into my office one day, and I heard the secretaries trying to calm somebody down. They finally came and got me, and I came and said, what's the problem? And boy, did she unload on me. She let me know I am a single mom. I got 2 boys. I don't have a skill. I got to have a skill so I can earn a wage and take care of my family. And I don't have any money, and you got to help me. That was her intro. Ma'am, calm down a little bit. I'm in my office, and not only did she complete that program as the first graduate, even before we had graduation planned, I took her out on the sidewalk and presented her certificate to her, and we made a picture on it, because graduation wasn't going to be until sometime later. She went on and ran her business, and today she says she's retired, but she goes 2 nights a week down to our county jail under the direction of one of our alumni, and she works on the female inmates. She does their hair for them 2 nights a week down there. And you know what? It's not all she does. She will quote them a Bible verse or 2 while she's, I say, twirling their hair. She encourages them about what you're going to do when you come out of there and where you're going to go. And then the Lake Tech Board and all that you have done, Richard, with your leadership, and Carl and Jerry and Tim, and the time that you have put into seeing that this thing continues to flow and grow and meet the need, and from the youth groups in our church, and I refer and cancel them towards Lake Tech, and they call me back or the next week at Sunday school to tell me, I went over there, but they said it's next March before I can get in. That's the way it is. We want that backup list. Yes, sir, young man. Now, you go to GED, you get yourself ready for the next March when it's time to come. There, you're going to be better as a result of it. Additionally, Walter, we say to him, maybe there's a shorter course you'd like to take in the interim. Maybe there's a 3-month course, and then you'll come out with 2 certifications and ready to roll. gosh, the success stories, as Richard said, the thousands of graduates all over the place. And I've reached a point, I used to ask them, Deanna, I think we might want to think about a name change. We may want to call this Lake Tech College of Fixing and Serving. Because that's what our students do. They fix and they serve. Anything that's broke, you call a Lake Tech student. They fix your automobile. Your body gets broke, they fix your body. They serve you. It has been a history of mine. Whenever I have someone come to my home to do repairs, I used to ask them, are you a Lake Tech graduate? And now I get yes so many times I stop asking them that. I just say, what year did you graduate from Lake Tech? And who was your teacher? I want to tell your teacher what you're doing. And once in a while I'll find one that says, I didn't graduate from Lake Tech, but my daddy did. And he taught me on the job, so I'm learning the job from my daddy. We were at a wedding recently, and Sue was talking with the mother of the bride and congratulating her, and the mother told Sue, well, my daughter graduated from cosmetology. Thank you all for having that opportunity available. And she said, and my son is now in welding over there. So it just goes on and on. The one of the better instances and stories, I was in the hospital in Leesburg for some minor surgery and stayed overnight. Sue and I were sitting in the room about 8 o'clock that night, and the nurse come charging in the door. She said, Mr. Bragg, you saved my life. And I kind of raised up in the bed and said, I did? How did I do that? She said, when I was in high school, I became pregnant in my senior year, and the policy was I couldn't stay in school. They told me to go to Votech. I talked to you, and you let me finish in the GED program and put me into the nursing program. Now I'm a head nurse on the night shift here on the 3rd floor. And I was still kind of groggy, and I was trying to put that all together, and I said, well, that's wonderful, that's great, congratulations. And she said, oh, by the way, I met my husband while I was over there too. He was studying air conditioning, and he has his own business. Tomorrow before you check out, I'll give you his card if you need some service. And she talked, and I was still. So finally I figured I'd end the conversation. I said to her, well, tell me about your baby, your child. Oh, she said, I had twins. And they're doing great. They're both at the University of Florida now. Going to be 2 CPAs and open their own business. So the kinds of stories that we hear just go on and on. And I will close by saying to you, I thank the Lord, I thank each of you, and I thank you for being here. And what's been accomplished here has been accomplished not by Ken Bragg, not by Deanna and Diane. It's been accomplished by teamwork. And it's not just one team, it's groups of teams, and you have made up those teams all over the place. And my name going on that sign, Kirby, is not honoring me. Well, it is honoring me. It's a great honor, but it's honoring those teams that came together to make all of that happen. And Sue and I have spent over 60 years here now working in economic development and education in this county, and 40 of it in paid salary time, 24 in volunteer years. And our goal is we got to match up those volunteer years with that paid. So when we get 40 and 40, we'll have the 80. We celebrated our 65th anniversary this month. Wow. And I may get slapped, but Sue celebrated her 85th birthday last night with family from out of state. And as has been mentioned, truly, I started to work at age 7 delivering newspapers And I've had a job ever since. I've been afraid to give up one job before I had another. And I just didn't feel safe. And while I started at that age, Sue started at age 14 serving ice cream in an ice cream store in her hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. And I remember as the impact it made on me at age 7 when I was delivering that afternoon paper and the war had ended, and the whole front page of the paper had 2 words: war ends. And people were out on the porch, they were dancing, they were playing radio, they were blowing horns, and I was throwing that paper and they were grabbing it, holding it up. And I thought, this is a service. People appreciate this. They enjoy it. I'm providing a service, not beyond the 35 cents that I collect each week for the paper, which I got to keep a dime, and I paid the company a quarter for the papers. So our history is good, and Kirby, I see that's the name sign out here as not the climax of something, but if I get an honor, that means there's some work attached to it. So I'll be over in a couple of weeks and let you tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I know maybe I'm supposed to put curbs and sidewalks right there, or maybe I'm supposed to put a landing pad for helicopters because your traffic is getting so heavy. I'm serving this year as the Citizen of the Year in Leesburg, and I went to Sandy Moore after I was chosen for that and said, what projects do you have for me to do in this role? Does this honor come with a job description? Have you got a job description of what I'm supposed to do? About a couple of weeks ago, I called her and said, Sandy, I've done all those things, and I got 90 days left. Do you have a new project for me? She said, I'll work up one. So we're waiting. So I see that, Richard, as the opportunity. Thank you so much. Bless everybody here. And it's great to be a part of Lake County.
It's something special when you can honor somebody as special as Mr. Ken Bragg, who has been a godsend for Lake County and for all the students here, actually throughout the nation. Without his leadership and his dedication, none of this would have happened, or it wouldn't have happened at this magnitude. He has helped countless and countless and countless of families, and it was a great honor for me to be chair to recognize him and his family to the dedicated service that he has given to this county.
Well deserved. I mean, literally, when you think about vocational training and job training in Lake County, you think about Ken Bragg, and that's not. I'm not just saying that. That's the truth. You know, as long as I can remember, folks have always said, you know, we need more vocational training for our kids, and generally nothing was ever done, except Ken has gotten it done, and it's taken years, but just every year relentlessly working towards providing vocational opportunities for our kids and our students and adults, and it's paid off. I mean, I've seen it. There's people throughout this community doing good, high-paying jobs, making a living, supporting their family, all because of Ken Bragg's vision to provide that type of training to them.
You know, this was an amazing event today honoring Ken Bragg. It was incredible to see so many people come, and rightfully so, because Ken is one of those people, ever since I've met Ken, he shows up, right? So having so many people show up for him was amazing. Personally, Ken has been such an encourager to me at the Chamber of Commerce. He is always bringing a guest that he knows, a business that he knows could benefit from being a part of the Chamber of Commerce. So he has just been such a blessing to have, and he is our Citizen of the Year, and he has taken that role very, very seriously, which is amazing. And he'll never stop, and that's what's so great about Ken too.
With Ken, years ago, we could have honored him and celebrated him because of all of the great things he has done, all of the people's lives he's impacted through offering educational pathways through Lake Tech, and now they're working in our community. So he's been doing these amazing things for years and mentoring people personally. But at this point in his life, he's 87. I just think it's fabulous that his daughters could be here, and his wife is here, and we were all together as a community saying thank you to him.